இவங்க எல்லாருமே இன்னைக்கு independent cinema original voices are India's operated. So it would be great to listen to them. How, for example, we had Govinda's film playing all day today in the retrospective session. He comes from the place where there is no industry. There is nothing called an industry that is happening in Punjab. But he continues to make Punjabi cinema. And we have Abu. He has all the way traveled from Bangladesh. And he has carried an anthology film with 11 Bangladeshi young directors. There's an anthology of film. And Bangladesh, it's like out of nowhere. And you have a new wave coming up in independent cinema. So he will share his views, how he survives and how all the 11 filmmakers and more survive in Bangladesh as independent voices. And we have Jude Ratnam. And he is coming from the completely war-torn place, like last 40-50 years is all about war in Sri Lanka. அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு இடத்துல இருந்து ஒரு ஃபில்மை எடுத்து அதை இன்டர்நேஷ்னலி அதை கொண்டு போய் சேர்த்திருக்காரு. ஸோ ஹீ இஸ் அன் இண்டிபெண்டன்ட் வாய்ஸ் அண்ட் தட் டு ஃப்ரம் ஈழம், யூனோ டேக்கிங் ஸ்டோரிஸ். ஏன்னா மில்லியன்ஸ் வந்து டிஸ்பிளேஸ் ஆகியிருக்காங்க கடந்த 35-40 ஆண்டுகளாக. லட்சக்கணக்கில் மக்கள் வந்து உலகமெங்கும் செதறி கிடக்கிறாங்க. ஆனால் அவங்களுடைய கதைகள், அவங்களுடைய stories are not told. So we need more filmmakers like Jude, whether you agree with him or not agree with him, but he's an important voice from Neelam. So we are all coming from nowhere but still exist. How is it possible? I'm sorry to be sorry for being bilingual, because we have filmmakers who do not know Tamil, so I have to play around both the languages. But you can stop me in the last 10-15 minutes where you can ask me if any of the voices need to be translated. Okay? I'm here just to help, so please bear with this language. Thank you. Shall we start with Gurvinder? In one of your interviews you said Chautikot gained a lot of visibility in Netflix than the theatrical release. So do you think streaming companies give a kind of a platform to independent voices? Is it becoming a refuge, like for independent filmmakers across the world?
Yes, in the sense that there is a life for the film after the theatrical release. Earlier you would make a film and if it got a theatrical release at all, it got a certain visibility. I mean, first of all, the visibility one looks for an independent filmmaker. I think the first visibility you're looking for are platforms at the film festival. So film festivals are very vital, where the film premieres and where all it travels to. For me, I mean, I get a first-hand response from the audience. I mean, I used to question this, that why should one travel? Is it important even for a director to travel with the film, And when I was traveling with Inde, I was in Munich, and in the audience was a famous German filmmaker, Reinhard Hoff. And Reinhard loved the film and he was very moved, and then he knew Manikol, my teacher, and then he took me out for a beer after the film. And he told me, he said one thing that stayed with me. He said the film is not just a film. It is the film plus the director. And he said, travel with your film. Go meet your audience. And he said, one day perhaps you will not want to travel, but the memories of these travels and the experiences at film festivals will really enrich you as a filmmaker. And I think that I kind of I started believing in that. Though it's very tiring for a filmmaker to be constantly traveling with the film, because after all we have to work and do other things, and film festivals are not a paying job. We travel so much and we talk and we give time to the film festivals, but for which we are not paid. So it's a voluntary job we are doing, So the first platform is that, and then of course, if the film manages a theatrical release, well, what I was telling today also, that the film, at least if it I mean, the idea of your film screening in a multiplex, competing with, like say in the north, the Bollywood films, or here in the south with your own local popular cinema. It's quite a daunting, task. You go to the theater and you have these big posters and whatnot, billboards, and suddenly you see a small poster of your film. You feel so small already, You feel that, you don't have that power to fight them. You don't have that visibility which they have. And but in a way, fine. One accepts that as a reality of for your choice you have made as an independent filmmaker. And then what after that? Your film will run at the most for a week. If in one theater, like in Bombay, my film say does well in say Warsaw or Juhu, they will run it for 2 weeks, but not after that. So what happened? What would happen to the film after that? And in that sense, the platforms like Netflix, Amazon, they have given us visibility beyond the life of theater. And today I would go to the extent to say that I really would find it meaningless to release my film theatrically, and because you need to put in a certain money to release the film theatrically, and for Chaudhary would be spent about I think 30 to 35 lakhs just to release the film, in terms of prints and publicity and PR, and I don't think it recovered even that much money. So there is no audience for you to even recover the money. So what? Okay, we had the money left over from production, so we pumped that money into the publicity. But today, if you ask me, I know people who have made a film recently, and the film has gone to film festivals to premiere at an important film festival, and then got picked up by Netflix, and Netflix has paid them 3 times the amount of the production cost. Okay, you recover that money over 3 years, but in one sale, the filmmaker has made money, and the film is being viewed and reviewed online. We have to now, look beyond theatre and not depend on theatrical release of our films.
You released your film on Netflix, Lens, right? Do you think you had more visibility in the streaming platform than the theatrical release? I think it was a limited theatrical release. What is your experience with streaming?
See, for me personally, Lens was independent because I produced it along with my friends. Compared to other independent films out there who are really exploring a lot with content and form, I didn't do it. My film, if you see, it's just a revenge drama, which is just like any other commercial film in that sense. But just that the story idea was, something little unique. So due to that reason, I somehow managed to show it to Lal Jose, who was director in Kerala, and they released it in Kerala, the original version of the film, which was in English, and then here Vetrimaran released it in Tamil by making, just by editing and again making it suitable for commercial viewing with a lot of music and fast cuts of the edit and stuff like that. So, but personally, if you ask me, the kind of mileage I got from theatrical release in Kerala and Chennai was really overwhelming. The reviews and the kind of feedback I got from people and audiences was really fantastic. But like Gurvinder said, the life of your film is very important if it has to run theatrically and if it has to reach people. So at the maximum you will get a week, the theaters, and then it reduces over a period of time because it has to compete with the big films. It has nothing to do with whether your film is liked or whether audience are watching it. My film was around 70% full Thursday, but Friday they had removed the film because they had to release another big ticket commercial film because that's important for them. They are waiting and they have put money in that. So after that, your film does not have a life. But since Netflix took it upon them, and right now it's almost 2017. Yeah, it's 2 years now almost. And every now and then it's very nice to get something in your Facebook or a phone call or something like they have watched my film somewhere in some part of the world through Netflix, and sometime you get some tweets and things like that, and it feels really good because it has a life and it will just keep growing as long as Netflix is there and people keep watching Netflix.
When we are talking about post-theatrical release in Netflix. We have a very successful story from Ishwar. He did a beautiful film, Up, Down and Sideways, from some unknown, northeastern state, called Nagaland, and now it is theatrically released across Japan, and there are more screening and more release options coming his way because of all the recognition. We would like to hear from you, Isha.
Yeah, she talks better than me, so I'm going to be missing her here right now. With regard to the film, yeah, as Lina said, we've been very fortunate. It's gone to quite a few festivals, and we've been very lucky. It's released in theaters in Japan, and it's been running there since October. But for us personally, both of us work in theatre, and we work on stage, and that's where we come from. And we've been really missing watching our audiences, and for us, although this is our first feature-length film, and it's really nice, this whole experience that the film is going here, film is going there, although we are not getting to go with it most of the places, but we are feeling a much stronger need to connect with our own audiences. So our plan in the future is actually more along the lines of traveling along with the film by ourselves, by getting in touch with more theatre groups around the country that we work with, we collaborate with, maybe do some live dubbing, and most of our film is anyway mostly non-verbal, so we spent about six and a half years making the film, so now we want to spend the next 5-6 years traveling with the film. And we are also feeling that a lot of these festivals and theatres and all these platforms, it's still very urban centric, and our film is on farming, so that's really the audience that we want to reach out to. And we feel that we have to try and find more innovative ways of going about it. So I don't know, hopefully by this year end we'll start traveling with the film and doing some live dubbing rather than just doing translations, and maybe a year down the line we'll know where it is.
Traveling with the film, like even Govinda was mentioning about it, I always, in my experience, I always see a screening as a completion for a film. Like my film is always incomplete, so every screening completes it. So I kind of get that sense of completeness in every screen, a different completeness. So I enjoy traveling with my film. I think that is very important. Also to learn a lot. So what do you feel about these digital downloadable era and the career of your films? Sanjay.
I think most importantly what Netflix and other platforms have done for me is I can now think of a content where I can bypass the censor, which I think is probably exciting me more than all the other things, because anything that you put on Netflix is on torrent the next day. So that is there, so that will be there. So when we're talking about downloadable, it's also being downloaded where my producer or myself, we are benefiting also. I don't know how long this is going to. Also, I find the first strains of almost, if I can use the word mainstream politics in Netflix or other places also, they are kind of telling you what films they want, what films they don't want. That is also gone. We had this initial euphoria of a platform where you can kind of put whatever exciting is. Now they are defining what exciting is. But still, at the end of the day, on the flip side, I think I can still get into a space where this entire thing of Censor Board of India or whatever IFFC, I don't have to think about that. I can do whatever I want the way I want. But that is exciting me more at this point of time.
But you can't be very happy, I guess. I think the pills are attacking Netflix and Amazon to work around censorship for content from India, and there is a lot of pressure from the government side. And also I hear news about these streaming platforms lending into the ears of state and working around it because they don't want to lose the market.
So that is where the corruption starts. I mean, so what do you do? But we have to kind of get around that also, I guess. And I'll be very interested in seeing this film that he's saying, it's a very urban-centric platform and he's got a film on farming. So how does he then take it forward? Now, how does he take it to his audiences? That is also something exciting that I'm looking forward to. So I think we'll also have to tweak models, create models, and somehow move around with it. We cannot be this, okay, we got something else, so put all our this thing there and wait for it to happen. Obviously, as we all agree, I think the best thing is obviously traveling with your film to festivals and other screenings. Not only festivals, own screenings also. But that is not always possible for various reasons. So then what is the next best option that you have? I guess traveling with your film, yes, but then putting it to platforms where you can cater and take it to people, I guess. That is what I look forward to for my films.
From Dhaka, I think, how many cinemas you have in Dhaka, in Bangladesh altogether? How do you manage distributing your films? You can talk.
Bangladesh market is a very strange situation. For example, my film doesn't have any song or dance, but it actually ran in theater for 11 weeks.
11 weeks?
Yes. And so it's a very strange market, and recently all the films that's actually becoming like hit in theater, commercially and both aesthetically, or with the film which is going to festivals, are actually becoming like kind of like hit film. Because I think it's because of our demographic dividend. Maybe we have like a lot more younger generation people, like age from 18 to 25. That's the people. So they want to watch contents which are like not like like the Bollywood flair, kind of like very copying cat or like 5 songs, few fighting scenes or something like that. But unfortunately, due to this development of the country, is going so fast that GDP chasing like barometer, very high. So what is happening is that all the multiplexes are all the places where there was cinema hall, there was a single theater, single screen theater. So all the single screen theater usually occupies like a very big land. So they're breaking it down. They're promising that okay, they will make like multiplex, but they don't make the multiplex. They make like supermarkets or something, I don't know. So the entire country, all the places where there was like cinema halls now become like supermarkets. You go there, you can buy apples. So that's kind of like really saddening. So we had 1,200 theaters, and out of 1,200, last year it was 300 theaters that was left, and now it's 174 theaters, which is running theaters. And there are this 126 theaters which are not currently in running condition. So other than the Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr, they use it as a go down. So you store their potato and rice or something like that. So during the Eid al-Fitr, you actually remove the potato, you sell this, and you turn it to the cinema hall again and play Sakib Khan's film. So it's a very strange scene over there. But I think we have a digital market over there so recently, 2 of my films that I produced was sold to Netflix in a not very high price, because the aggregator, they're saying that like Netflix is not paying much. I don't know the truth exactly what's happening, but we sold it just to make the film gets visibility over there. And the film producing companies and the financing companies, so there is one big company who is like a big time he took like 4,000 crore taka from the bank and will never probably give this money back. So he's investing that money to cinema, because cinema for 5 years is tax free. So a lot of people are investing in cinema to get their tax refund. So those are the number one type of investors, and the second type of investors are the people who genuinely thinks art can give them some sort of good social status, so that they can actually take the national award or something to become the first class citizen. Like get the extra benefits from the country. So there is no genuine producing things happening. That's why, like me being a filmmaker, I created my first feature and then I went back to Bangladesh, and I'm trying to become a producer myself. Because where there is nothing, there is a big opportunity, I think. I don't know how that's going to be shaping up, but I think in coming years, OTT platform will play a very vital role, and it's a sad thing, but I believe there is nothing we can do about it. In Bangladesh, film societies are very active, so for public screening, this could be one option that we are doing. So after getting the censor, actually the filmmaker can travel with the film, and he can take the film to different districts within the student film society movement or something, so they can actually screen the film over there, other than the theaters. And of course, your film can go to the film festivals. So this is a very complex scene in Bangladesh, and there are a lot of young filmmakers who are kind of making films. based on keeping that in mind. But I'm kind of hopeful, even in this very chaotic situation. I don't know. I think that if you can have a good content, then there will be some screening opportunities.
Coming to Kerala, I mean, I was just discussing with Gurvinder about having an industry is a blessing or it's a blessing in disguise, or like, I mean, how it affects films that have lesser populistic factors in the film, like, you know, you have a very strong industry and we have a much stronger industry, and with this big brother around, how to survive as an independent filmmaker, how do you get theatre slots, do you really get, you know, distribution help and support, or you think streaming platforms are a, you know, a refuge? What is your opinion?
Hi, I'm Santosh Babusenan and this is Satish Babusenan, filmmakers from Kerala. Well, actually, I think our situation is far more complicated than this, you know, and I beg to differ with some of the other earlier speakers. Because we are independent filmmakers, so we have all the problems that independent filmmakers face. Plus, 2 of our films have had trouble with the censor board. So we are in deep shit actually. So the thing is that, the question you asked, I would say that in Kerala, the possibility of releasing a non-mainstream, what you call art house movie, is almost zero. It's very, very difficult to release a film like the kind of films that we are making. They just can't be released at all. That is where I think a platform like the Netflix or Amazon step in, you know. But unfortunately, things are changing now. That's what I feel. It's not that rosy as it used to be. We sold our first film. About the censor part, maybe Sadiq should talk. I talk about the distribution part. The first film was called The Painted House. So we ran into trouble with the censor board and all that. Finally, we got it cleared. And Netflix bought the film. And that is after we had got the CBFC certificate. And it's still on Netflix. And then we made several films after that. And now we are into our 5th film. We just finished it. But so far, we have not been able to sell any of the other films except our 2nd film, which Amazon is buying now. But this is the important part I want to talk about. You know? Amazon was insisting on a CBFC certificate. We had a CBFC certificate, but it is not there displayed on the film itself. They insisted that you should have at least 5 seconds of the censor board certificate on the film. So now it's quite clear that they are giving in, you know. There's a lot of pressure from, like you said, there's a lot of pressure from the ministry, and they will not take your film unless you have a CBFC clearance, one. Or they say they have their own self-certification, which is almost the same thing actually. So you cannot anymore make movies the way you want to make them. We are in big trouble actually, that's not going to happen. And now about the censor part maybe, and that's also part of the discussion I guess. Satish will talk about the censor part. Shall I give the mic to him? Yeah.
I'll take off from what my brother Santosh just said. He said that right now it's a situation where we cannot make films the way we want. I want to differ because it might look like we cannot do it, but that is exactly what we are doing. We are continuing to make our films exactly the way we want. And why and how we are able to do this is, we are not looking at theatrical release at all. We don't want to sell our films, with tickets and, compete with the industry, as you called it. We have nothing to do with the industry. Then why are we making these films? We made 5. After the first film, we feel we can do better, so we did the second one. And we feel that that's crap, we have to do the next. That is why we keep making these films, in spite of the fact that we may not be able to sell it or anything. The only revenue which comes, as he said, is from Netflix or others. Now the censorship issue. The first film we made, while we were writing it, that's when we realized that it is not really as if somebody is censoring us. Censorship starts with the self. It is we who ourselves censor ourselves, looking at what happens around the country. Because when we were doing our first film, it was about the false image that persons represents to the world.
So there was question of, there were scenes where he had to see the actress who plays the main central character. Our main male character had to see her naked. So we thought, no, that obviously can't be done in India, it can't be done, so how do we go around this? Then we questioned ourselves, why is that? I mean, if it hasn't been done, it doesn't mean that it can't be done, so we should do it. So let us just do it. And we were, our actress was extremely, she believed in the film as much as we did. Neha Mahajan is her name, and she did the scenes. So we knew there was going to be trouble. We went to the censor board because we had to apply for the awards, because we were looking at the small money. We didn't want theatrical collection and all that. Awards would be good money. Or the film festival, and if you get selected to the International Film Festival of Kerala, you get some money. But that happened because they did not want a censor certificate. Nowhere else in India was that happening at the time. Then that is where we realized that it is the censorship which is brought in by the filmmaker itself which is a problem. If it, if the bigger filmmakers of longer, our seniors, if they had done something like this and they had gone to court, if we decided to go to court, then we would have found it easier. So we thought that okay, let us go to court. We went to the censor board, they asked us to cut and bleep and do lots of things. We didn't. We went to the High Court and we fought them, and the High Court said give them the censorship certificate without any cuts of any kind. So we won. Now, after that, the next few films, the 4 films we made, did not have such a subject matter. But then now going to the right wing, which is, the right wing intolerance which is all around us, we were finding it very difficult to, sit down without saying anything. So this new film which we are making, it's called Darkness. We just finished it. That one, we took it to the censor board because we wanted to apply to the awards, which was last month. They asked us to cut, and if I tell you what those words are, you're all going to laugh. They said, saffronization, cut. You cannot show it. You cannot, they cannot say it. CPM, that cannot be used. Beef eater, you cannot say that. And more things like this. It is ridiculous, and we very happily let them know that it is ridiculous. So, so now we'll have to go to court. But before we go to court, we have a lawyer. We have this arrangement already. We know that we need to go to the lawyer in the High Court. He said that we always do that. We put a budget for the litigation. I think that's the only way for an independent filmmaker to fight. So we put that into the budget and we do it. So our lawyer said, they have this reference review committee and they also have the tribunal. So we'll have to go through the motions before we go to the High Court, because otherwise the High Court will ask us to go to these 2 committees. Now we know that what is the review committee going to do? They're not going to say these are good, you do it, until maybe the next election, and hopefully things work out better. And beef is never a bad thing, but I like beef. We both do. Most people in Kerala do. So that is the fight, and we are fighting now. And they're doing the level best to put us in trouble, because we gave them, we went to the Trivandrum Censor Board. They said these many cuts will have to be made. We refused. They said that now the chairman will write to you, etc. The chairman himself now, without our going for any review, the chairman has sent it to a review committee. I believe this is quite unusual. And now what they do is, they will not give us a date. Because we told them that we want these things fast because we want to take you to court. Now they will not give us those dates. Suddenly, 4 days back, they sent us a letter saying that, in 3 days' time, you have to go to Hyderabad from Trivandrum, arrange your screening and present before the review committee. We told them that's out of the question. You give us at least 10 days to do it. The idea is they're trying to trouble an independent filmmaker who will fight them as much as they can. And the challenge is to keep fighting. So I hope that each filmmaker will do this, But to do that, you should stop thinking about the theatrical release and just go for, doing art cinema, and sell it to Netflix or something and make money from there. So that opportunity is always there. With apologies for taking so much time, I now give the mic back.
As he rightly said, I myself fought for my first film, which was banned by CPFC, regional board, and then I had to go to the tribunal and then to the Supreme Court to get it cleared. But the hope is constitutional censorship can be fought in this country. You really have, some kind of hope in that area. But how do you handle extra constitutional censorship? Like, how our closing film Nude was stopped from screening as an opening film at IFFC directly by Information and Broadcasting Ministry. And how Jude's film was taken out from Jaffna International Film Festival in the last minute, having been programmed, and then it has been taken out by other pressures. He is not able to show this film in Iram till now. And in the morning, Govinda was discussing about his documentary, which the short fiction which we did in Pune Film Institute with the acting class students, and that was pulled back by the new chairman and the politics in Film Institute. But he actually stood with the students, and he is going around to the festivals with the unfinished film. But the management goes to an extent that they correspond to the film festivals, quoting the film as illegal and trying to stop the screening. So these and they were talking about extra constitutional censorship, and constantly we are facing extra constitutional censorship by the Shiv Sena and by all the right wing fanatics, by Tamil fanatics. So these of mob censorship is the biggest challenge the independent filmmakers face. I would like to listen from Jude about how he faced it and how he is fighting with it.
So my experience is that it's not only the state that censors, festival censors as well. So how I'm facing it is a question to be asked that I keep asking myself even as I sit here as well. But I would like to probably just draw an attention to the whole idea of how films are perceived generally as a form of activism. For me, this is a problem. I think the more and it is a reality. Probably some might differ with my opinion that around the world there is more funding for activist kind of films than films that really urge a filmmaker to go and make the film. So I think this whole idea of making art into activism is a problem for me. And that's what I felt in the festival like Jaffna Film Festival, where it championed the films that were not being shown in the public sphere. And when it came to Demons in Paradise, it kind of tucked in. And it even started throwing rocks at you, saying, oh, why have you made such a film, and why haven't you showed this to the public, and all these usual questions that come. So I don't know, I'm just questioning this fundamental idea of art being activism is something that we need to think about in relation to censorship.
I differ from your view, because I never wanted to be an activist. I just wanted to be a filmmaker. But if I haven't taken up activism, I would have been dead by now. And there is no funding for political films, as you say. The moment you're political, nobody is going to back your film, because it's more, what you did is a very personal story, but it comes across as a political film. Personal is political. So, for political films to get funding across the world, if you're not talking their politics, who is going to give you money, it's not going to work out, I guess. What is your say in this?
For me, it doesn't work that way. I think one can only just work without thinking about what dividends it will bring you. You have to just put your head down and work. And in my experience, I can only speak in my experience, I have seen that expand in a magical way. So for me, to say that you have to go about things in a very methodic, sequential way to do a film, I can't buy that. For me, there has to be magic in what you're making. The process, in that sense, the process is much more important than the final, the ends, I guess.
I'd like to hear from Govinder on the Sea of Last Time, like what kind of...
No, that was purely the internal situation in FTI, and I was doing a workshop with the students of acting, and there was an old case against one of the students, and he was expelled just before one day before the shooting was to begin, and then in fact I encouraged the student to file a case against the institute at the High Court, and I gave a letter in his support, about his conduct and everything in the workshop, and we started the shoot, and the hearing started in the High Court at the same time, and we hope that we will get a decision in our favor, but that was it was more like welcome to Indian judiciary. So nothing happened from that, and at the end of we were supposed to shoot for 20 days, and after 11 days the shoot was stopped by the institute, citing that we have overshot the shooting ratio and we're shooting on digital, and they said we only allow 1:6.
We will erase everything and shoot again.
Yeah, so I said okay, I will select the footage and erase some of the footage and then continue. They said no, you shot what you shot, and anyway, the case went on. There were a few hearings and nothing happened of that, and that was the end of it, the end of the film, and luckily I had kept they were not even allowing me to keep the backup of the footage, but I did have the actual files with me. I had during the shooting itself I had made a backup, and it's digital, and then so I myself edited the film. So in a way now two versions of the film exist. The institute got its own version edited to show that they have completed the project, and then I had the footage, and I edited about a 45-minute film out of it, and it was supposed to be a 60-minute, 1 hour, 70-minute long film. And I just shared it with I shared it with Rotterdam actually, and they decided to program the film. And just one day before the screening in Rotterdam, the institute got to know because from some website that this film is screening there, and then they wrote to the festival saying that it's an illegal entry, and it's a misrepresentation of the institute, and that he has stolen footage from the institute to make this film.
Are they the producer?
They are the producer, yes. If there is a problem, but I wanted to bypass that. I wanted to fight that. That why should a director? So the institute has made this into a kind of draconian. It's a draconian law, I think. Rule. It's not a law. It's a draconian rule that a director of the film who gives everything to the making of the film has nothing to do with the film and cannot even apply to any film festival. I know film students who applied to festivals and the film was not, the film got selected, and when they informed the institute, they said no. On what basis? Why should an artist not have a right to enter the work? And every festival accepts films from producers and directors. So it's a legal entry. As far as I am concerned, it's a legal entry. The festival says it's a legal entry. So thankfully the festival decided to ignore that email. We did the screen, and I showed it today here also, and I will continue to show wherever I can. And the institute has threatened legal action against me. Let's see.
But for the national awards, I think it is only producer who can apply till nowadays. I don't think director has a right to apply for national film awards. And Sanju, you won 3 Class awards last year. For Inde, but you're still not able to theatrically release it. So what is your plan and what is your experience distributing? Facing challenges about distributing your film.
It is very difficult to, in Kerala, they had created a certain kind of a touchstone. Like mainstream cinema is a kind of a touchstone nowadays in Kerala. So this is like if the film entertains you or makes you laugh or cry, so that is a criterion for good cinema. So most of the
intellectuals or artists have accepted this criteria. So the problem is that we have a difficulty in making independent kind of films or artistic films or experimental films or a different kind of films, which doesn't actually taste to your entertainment values, So that is very difficult on one hand. And when we come to the distribution of the film, I tried my best to convince my producer to get the film distributed. There were different plans we were trying to set up. Like suppose we go to one city and spend a couple of days telling about the film, say, and then release a film for 3 days. So there are a lot of small towns in Kerala. So maybe in 4 or 5 towns, if you could get a limited release, some idea like that we put forward. But the producer was not interested in distributing the film simply because he knows that, previously he had a film which was he tried to distribute it and it gained him no money. Like Gurindra said, it was 35 lakhs and there was no money back. So that experience was there. So now what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to find certain alternate spaces like universities or institutes or film clubs to screen my film, to have a discussion. So possibly where I can go, I would go and interact with the audience. So it was recently screened in the Denali. Also in different colleges or wherever there's a space to screen the film, I would go for it and screen the film and have a discussion with because it is difficult to find to reach the audience through a traditional conventional theatre release. This is like even the distributors would they would be impressed by the film, but they won't touch it, or they won't say, even the celebrated distributors would they would just go away from the film. So that is a problem. So we are also trying to pitch the film on a digital platform like Netflix or something like that. But yeah, we have to see that how it works out.
And in Bangladesh, we hear news about photojournalists framed and put, sent to jail and all. What is the kind of climate there regarding censorship in Bangladesh? Can you do political cinema?
We have a very similar kind of like censor rule in Bangladesh, and this is a very old rule. I think it's 1948 British Cinema Act rule or something like that. That's still running the that act is running the and actually once we did a fun out of the censor that material that thing that says what you cannot do. So if you actually kind of idealistic, in a very idealistic world, if you want to make a film, keeping all those things out of that, what you cannot do, and your film will not be censored. If this has happened, then you cannot actually tell a story. Because there is a rule, very vague rule, that like it cannot hurt anybody's sentiments. So like if you as a citizen get like hurt by the film and you actually file a case against me, it can be that like the censor board will. So it's very sophisticated. They are very soft. So deal such a soft thing, you have to deal them like a kids and like just try to say that they don't understand. So you have to forgive them and kind of like move forward. That's the strategy that I don't know about other people, but at least that is the thing that I feel, I believe. So in my film case, that what happened was like there were so many things they were confused. So there were so many things they were like planning to cut. Now when they knew that okay there will be like so many cuts, and they know that okay by the time it reached to the censor board, it has already traveled to like 14 international film festivals. The film is like in the news and people know about it, and so they were like confused, and they asked my producer that what should we do. I said nobody will go to watch the film, so just give the censor. So they just give the censor like. And then the film like actually hit on the theatre and it was like 11 for 11 weeks. So I don't know, it's kind of
Bangladeshi way of standing.
Yeah, so you have to, and the censor people like actually we have a censor committee, and the censor committee people I all know them. So because it's a single country, not like we don't have a state to do. So we kind of know actually who is watching the censor, and you can bribe them and you can get to know that actually what's their opinion. So it's kind of nice that you have a sweet censor board over there to play around it. But there are some cases like where they were being very strict. So technically they are not very strict. Because if you see our 90s film, like from 93 to onwards, like 2002 or 3, like that 10 years, it was like many films were like semi-nudity or something like that. So that time, like, I don't know how those films have been passed. Then actually when the next government came, they made a very interesting conspiracy theory about it, that actually the Islamist group did this intentionally, played nude films into the theatre to keep away the middle class out of the theatre, so that there will be like actually it will be occupied by all these like lower class people, means not the lower class people, means like the people who are like working class. So you make like very trash stories so that you don't give chances to develop or encourage any sort of critical thinking. So it was a very interesting conspiracy theory. I don't know the validity of it. So yeah, we don't know how censor works basically.
Yeah, I'm already warned by the organizers that we are running out of time. But what we, get out of this discussion is whether you have money, you don't have money, whether you have censorship, whether you have some RSS stopping you, or some fanatic group stopping you, or some Islamic group stopping you. We are all going to continue making films. That's the only response we give out in this Independent Film Festival of Chennai. And I also take this opportunity to thank Tamil Studio and this bunch of ferocious youngsters to put up this courageous Independent Festival edition where we all showed our films. Thank you very much.